In 1983, I was in the U.S. Air Force and I received an assignment to Italy at a small communication site on top of a mountain where there were 26 men assigned. See my 2 videos about the story of my trip there. I put links in the description below. At the site, my best friend Lenny had some problems with a couple restrooms, and I had a problem finding restrooms when I needed one. Here are stories about these challenges. The site, which was called Monterdello, was more than an hour's drive to the nearest city, where we had to run once a week to pick up supplies at the Reggio Calabria airport. There, we met an Air Force plane, which brought us mail, movies, videotape TV shows, vehicle parts, food supplies, or whatever we needed. Also, we brought back outgoing mail, movies we finished watching, TV shows that we had seen. Most of us had a schedule of when we had to drive one of the 6-pack pickup trucks or the flatbed truck to the airport. Lenny and me were scheduled to do one of these runs. Everything was fine until we got loaded up and we were getting ready to head back to Monterdello. We were parked on the tarmac behind the airport. Lenny said he'll need to use the restroom before we start our trip. The closest restroom was in the pilot's area in the airport. They didn't mind if we used it, or else they just didn't know that we were using it while we were there. Lenny went in, I waited in the truck, and waited, and waited, and waited, and I was beginning to wonder what is taking so long. Airport workers are walking by, looked in the truck and grunted. I said, "Ciao," hi, but didn't get many responses. I sat there looking at my watch. I couldn't leave the truck with all our stuff on it. Might not be there when I get back. Finally, Lenny came running back, jumped in all flustered and said, "We got to get out of there right now. He'll explain on the way." As we were bumping our way through the streets, he said when he finished in the restroom, he couldn't get the door open to get out. No matter how much he struggled, he couldn't budge it. No one came when he yelled out. He thought he'd be there until he dies. Well, the door had a grate on the bottom, which might have been just big enough for him to crawl out of. He had some coins which he could use as a screwdriver to take the screws out. While he's laying on the floor and just about done taking all the screws out, a pilot opened the door. There was Lenny, laying on the floor with a pile of screws beside him, and the pilot staring at him like he's completely crazy. Lenny jumped up, ran out, leaving a pile of screws where they were at, and the pilot watching him with his jaw down to the floor, most likely thinking, in Italian of course, "What the hell was that?" Another time we got a chance to go to Rome. Lenny and me were having a great time seeing all the sights, but after eating and drinking Italian beer, Peroni, we needed to find a restroom. Now, public restrooms are very hard to find in Italy, or at least they were then. We saw a department store and thought, well, surely they have restrooms. We went in, looked around until we saw a big sign that said WC. WC in Europe stands for water closet, which is a restroom. Hallelujah. There was a long line for the WC. We got into line when one of the people recognized us as tourists. He said, "You need to go over to that desk across the room, pay for the WC, and bring back your receipt." Then he pointed out the older lady standing by the WC and told us, "You give her the receipt. There are separate rooms for each toilet, and she will tell you which one you can use." We waited, got to the old lady, and we got our separate rooms. I finished my business, and none too soon either. Came out and heard Lenny struggling with the door, trying to get out of his toilet room. I heard he's in a panic and start yelling, "Help, let me out!" The WC lady came, looked at the shaking door, looked at me, and I just shrugged like I have no idea what's going on. She reached over and easily opened the door. "Lenny is inside." "Oh my God, thank you. Grazie. I thought I was stuck there forever." We quickly gave the lady a tip and left with the people in line pointing and whispering. Outside, Lenny had to sit down a while and have another beer so he could calm down. I was kind of amused. You know the drill. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Okay? Thanks. Reggio Calabria is located by the Strait of Messina across from Sicily. One weekend, a bunch of us decided we were going to Sicily and see it while we can. At breakfast, I have my usual coffee and juice. We started driving down the mountain. I could feel my bladder whispering, "It won't be long before I need to be emptied." No problem. We were going to catch a ferry to Sicily, the kind you drive onto. It wasn't going to be long before we get to the ferry, and they have WCs on them. We got through the city to the harbor and got into a rather long line for the ferry, and it wasn't there yet to board. By now, my bladder was screaming at me. The guy saw me looking very uncomfortable, squirming around, asking me, "What is your problem?" I told him I have to find a restroom real soon or we'll be cleaning the pickup seat. They said, "Look, the ferry is coming. It won't be long and we'll be on it." I knew I couldn't wait. I saw a construction site with a fence around it about a block away and said, "I'll be right back." I jumped out, ran through the entrance of the fence. There I saw a tool shed and I shuffled in between it and the fence, unzipped and relieved myself. It was wonderful. When I heard someone start yelling behind me, I had been discovered by one of the workers who was holding some heavy, lethal-looking tool. Great. I ran out of there before getting clobbered. The pickup didn't move far, so got there and jumped in, hoping a gang of workers weren't running after me. The worker stayed by the fence but was awfully mad, pumping his fists in the air, yelling, I'm sure some really bad obscenities at me. The guys asked me, "What did you do?" I told them all I did was take a piss by their tool shed. No reason to be upset about that. Jeez. On the side note, I had to use the WC again on the ferry. I think my bladder was saying that you weren't quite done yet. Later in Sicily, we saw a girls' softball game. You know, guys. Yeah. Drove through some little villages close to Mount Etna, the volcano, and saw the huge rivers of lava that had gone through the villages years before. That was quite a sight. And we stopped at the Navy base Sigonella on the island to check it out. I never seen so many pregnant women as there were on the Navy base. So you know what sailors do when they get back home after spending months out on the ship. Then we had lunch in a little town and of course had a beer or two. Then it was decided to drive down to the beautiful beach by the town. We had our 2 extended cab pickup trucks driving through the heavy traffic. Once again, my pants started feeling tight and my bladder without warning screamed, "I'm stretching as much as I can. It's now or never." I told the guys I really have to go and now. They said, "There are restrooms at the beach. It's only about a half mile to get there." I said, "I'll be right back," and jumped out right in the middle of traffic. Ran down the sidewalk. There have to be public restrooms somewhere. I was in a panic. There were restaurants that have WCs, but they're only for the people that work there. Sometimes if you're a customer and you ask real nice, they will let you use them. In my case, that was not a solution. It was too late to be a customer. I'd probably just make a puddle on the floor anyway. There was an alley. I ran down it, then a back alley behind some tall apartments. This was it. Either I let loose here or I go in my pants. I unzipped and went. There was a chicken coop right there. The chickens all stopped pecking to watch me pee. Buck, 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 you know. High above were balconies. I could hear kids playing on them. Could they see me? I didn't think they could. I didn't hear any of the kids yell out, "There's a man down there peeing." But it would have been in Italian, and I didn't know the Italian word for peeing. I ran as fast as I could out of the alley and looked down the street. The guys were driving the pickups very slow, waiting for me and holding up traffic. People were yelling, beeping their horns, making obscene gestures. I ran down the street and jumped in the second pickup's box. They saw me and radioed the first pickup that I'm back and we can move now. We got down to the beach after about a half hour. I located a public restroom there and used it. Yes, I had to go again. Wow. When it was late afternoon, we started back onto the ferry, drove through town, back up the mountain. Believe it or not, I didn't have any more incidents to my and my bladder's relief. Also, Sicily was fantastic. Well, those are my stories for today. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Bye.